platform today. Well, yesterday, Volkswagen launched the ID Aero concept in China. We're going to get it in Europe. It's an electrified sedan. Blake, what are your thoughts?
I'm really excited by this because it's not another SUV. Brilliant. Is a little bit slow to market though. I'm looking forward to getting into the details on this one. So Derek, we're not getting this tomorrow. This is still a concept, yet it's pretty close to production, I understand. Do you have the details on that one?
Yeah, it's going to be starting to be produced in China at the start of 2023, which is only 6 months away. And then they're going to start selling it in the second half of 23. So this time next year, you're going to be able to get it in China. And in the second half of next year, then we're going to start to see it being manufactured in Germany for the European market. It is going to be a global car. So where we're going to get it depends on exactly what country you're in, but it looks like you're going to get it pretty much everywhere you get the ID3, ID4, the ID4, the ID5. It's definitely going to be one of their global brands and global marks.
Yeah, and not just in Zwickau as well. They're going to produce this in Emden, aren't they? And then I presume in time, Chattanooga and other places like that in the US as well.
Correct, yeah. And they're looking at expanding that Chattanooga plant because they're already probably at capacity with ID4's. Production is going to start very soon there, so it's great to see it. Who, Blake, I suppose, is the next question. Who's this for, and why have they gone into this market size, do you think?
Yeah, well, in terms of geography, we've already answered it. It's gone straight out to China.
ID 家族将提供更多的车型选择，即将迎来大众汽车首款面向全球的纯电轿车。
第一印象是至关重要的。
But in terms of the buyer, they're marketing this as a premium mid-size sedan. Now, I don't know what's mid-size, but something that's pretty much 5 meters long. But we'll move on from that. Gearing it towards the Chinese market. They've gone after that SUV market over there with the ID4, 5, and 6, and they're moving on to sedans, which is a really, really popular market over there. I have a figure of about 13% of the overall market in China was that premium sedan style. So looks like that's what they're lining up for at the start, and then obviously international markets in time.
Yeah, not everybody wants an SUV, and we're both excited to see what this looks like in a sedan form, but also in that estate, shooting brake, whatever. I can't even think. I think it's just called an estate in VW world, but in other brands they call it different things. But really looking forward to it. They may have, with regards to the size, we're talking. You said it's not a small car.
No, it's 5 meters. I think it's 4.96 or something like that. So let's just call it 5 meters, and it's pretty much got a 3-meter wheelbase as well. So bringing it up on a par with the likes of the Ioniq 5, but still larger than most, even some of the bigger SUVs out there. So it'll be really interesting to see the exact figures on the dimensions for the internal dimensions, that is, because with the ID, especially when you look at the 3 and the 4, they kind of look a little bit like they've got stubby noses because you can expand that cabin out. It isn't taking up so much space with the motors, transmission tunnels and stuff. So really looking forward to seeing what's inside it in terms of space as well.
Do you think we'll get a frunk in this one?
Possibly, because this one did look like it had a longer nose than the ID4 and 5 that I've been in. So I do hope so. But having said that, there's no precedent for it. So maybe they won't. Maybe that's been left for the newer platform that they're looking at developing for, releasing a few years' time.
The PPE, yeah. And this one sits on 22-inch tires. Like, you're never potentially going to have 22-inch tires in a sedan.
It's not going to happen when it comes out, is it, Derek? I mean, we're going to get a choice. It'll start off in 17s, and then you might get a GTX version with 20s or something like that.
Exactly. Battery and range, we're looking at, it's on the MEB platform, so it's kind of, we're starting to figure out what size is it. So in the press release, it was a 77 kilowatt hour battery usable, which is good range. And with that aero drag coefficient of 0.23, they're looking at big range, Blake, aren't they?
They are. I mean, WLTP should be hitting 600. The ID4 and 5 especially, because that's a little bit more aerodynamic than the 4, is not too far off those numbers anyway. So yeah, they should be hitting 600. I've seen a figure of 620, but then we have to be careful as well, because we're going to be exposed to the Chinese testing cycles, which are quite optimistic, even compared to the WLTP and again to real world range. But the drag coefficient will definitely help, and especially at speed. But also, 0.23 is good, but that's only halfway between what the ID5 is and what the top of the range Lucid and Model S's are. The EQS, which you tested on your own channel recently, that is a drag coefficient of 0.2 on the nose, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. But we're seeing some of the newer stuff coming out they're getting like the EQXX has a 0.17, I think it is. So yeah, but listen.
That looks a little bit different. So yeah, should be very efficient. It depends on the weight of the car as well. I mean, there's no way this is coming in below 2 tons. The ID5 and ID4 something like 2.15, 2.2 tons. So it's still a big lunk to move around. But having said that, we know at high weight speeds, the effect of wind is a lot stronger than the effect of weight or a laden vehicle. So yeah, look, we'll know more next year, you know, once we actually get our hands on it, our grubby mitts on it.
Charging then that big battery again, it's going to be something that we're going to take a stab in the dark at it. What are we thinking charging wise?
Well, it's the MEB platform, so 135 is the current state. Now, I've seen mention of 150, but Derek, you know, the guys when I was at the Irish launch of the ID5, they're telling me 3.1 is due, but you know a little bit more about that, don't you?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to drive a Volkswagen ID5 with 3.1 software at the launch in Austria a couple of weeks ago, and that was getting 135 that we've got on 3.0, but the GTX had 150 kilowatt DC. So because this is their Halo, a Volkswagen car, we think that their performance version of this will probably be at 150 kilowatt DC. But again, minutes in the difference. I know you did some research when you were doing the ID5 launch here in Ireland. Like it's up there for how many minutes at 135, Blake?
Yeah, I was up to about 28-30% on the charging curve that I saw anyway. So, you know, you're getting extra 15 kilowatts for the first 30% of the battery. So if something's going to take you 40 minutes, now going to take you 37 or 38 or something, you know, negligible difference, I would say.
Yeah. So charging, we talked about the last thing. There was an announcement at the end of this launch, and it was talking about how Volkswagen, and we've heard this talk about them being a software mobility company or a mobility company that does software. And so what they've done is they've taken all their bits of tech externally and internally and put it underneath one brand now called the IQ Technologies brand. What do you think about this move, Blake?
I think it's a great move. Like if we look at, for me personally, the cars that I've been in over the last couple of decades that I've driven and been driven around in, the software has always been underwhelming, let's say. And one of the main reasons is that they've got so many companies involved in it. So one person is making the screen, another person is doing the graphics, another person is developing a different type of line of code. It's all over the place. And when they try to bring it together, it's just never been impressive. And then Tesla came along, everything in-house, and you just go, whoa, look at this, you know? And it's great to see VW and let's say ID moving that forward and kind of bringing things under the same umbrella.
And it actually won't just be the ID brand. This will be used on their combustion engine vehicles as well. So it was interesting to see that this one technology brand, which is called IQ Technologies, and it's broken down into 8 different subdivisions. So I'll quickly run through them. IQ Drive, which is going to be their driver assistant package. IQ Smart Screen. Some people don't think it's too smart at the moment, but hopefully it will become smarter with over-the-air updates, which is a big feature. IQ Intelligent Parking. I recently did the Park Assist Plus with memory function, which I was very impressed by. IQ Top View, which is probably their 360 camera. IQ Light, which is their headlights, their LED matrix, etc. IQ Light Companion, which is their light bar at the bottom of the dash, which lights up and gives you kind of gives you hints as to which way you need to go. Sat nav, it lights up red if something's pull out in front of you. IQ Voice Companion, which is their voice assistant, and then IQ Connectivity, which is their over-the-air update. So 8, a mouthful of IQs there, but an interesting launch. We're not going to see it for a while, as you're saying, but what's your final thoughts on it, Blake?
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I know we haven't talked about the aesthetics on this video because the footage has been up there on screen and people can make up their own minds on it. Now, we're not going to see a lot of that illumination there. It won't even be allowed in some markets. I think it looks great, but also, is this a criticism? I don't know, but are they really too late to market with this? Like, you know, we're halfway through 2022 and we're given a concept car that's for the China market next year. And you just look at the advancements and how well the likes of Li Autos or Xiaopeng or NIO, all these Chinese not even startups, but these Chinese manufacturers, they're doing so well with that premium kind of sedan format. And then ID4 going to come along a little bit late, and they're so good at tech in those other brands as well. Has the ID range done enough to get those customers? Only time will tell on that one.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what their price point is versus the ET7. If they're saying this is a premium sedan, and maybe they come in with a lower price point to capture the market, and it has no doubt the dealership network that's over there already, and it has that Western brand cachet. Let us know in the comments what you think. As always, we're really interested to hear about it. watching the launch of the ID Aero, and as Blake says, it's a bit far out, but are you interested in something like this? Do you prefer this versus an ID4 or ID5 or that SUV onslaught that we're currently getting? We're on that drive to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you've subscribed to the channel and like the video. This has been EV Platform.
Thank you very much for watching.